What's going on, y'all? I'm Czar, and in this video we're taking a look at some plugins from Sonible because right now through September 30th, 2022, you can get the Sonible Studio Bundle, which includes pretty much all the plugins that they make for $229 US dollars. Or you can get the Smart EQ3, the Smart Reverb, or Smart Limit for $79 each. If you were looking at Sonible plugins, obviously the better deal here is the Studio Bundle because it comes with everything for $229. But in this video, we're going to take a look at their smart plugins, which is the Smart EQ, Smart Comp, Smart Reverb, and Smart Limit. In the Studio Bundle, you also get the Proximity EQ and Entropy EQ as well. And this is not going to be a full review. I've already done reviews of each of these plugins, so we're going to go through these kind of quickly. I just want to show you what they can do and what you can do with them if you were interested in some Sonible plugins. So I've got a vocal here from Larissa J. This is a vocal and guitar recorded. And we're going to be using the Smart EQ3 and the Smart Comp on this vocal. We're going to add some Smart Reverb, and we're going to add some Smart Limit on the master bus here to finish everything off. So if you're not familiar with Sonible plugins, their plugins are AI powered, meaning you can use AI to kind of get a starting point here with all of these plugins. Any of the ones that say Smart, it'll analyze your track as you play it and then provide you some starting points that you can use and tweak from there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use that, but then I'm going to tweak things a little further with it. So starting with the Smart EQ 3, so I'm going to hit play. And because this is a vocal and guitar and we don't have any of that listed here, I'm just going to go with universal.
The thoughts that have been in my head, in my head, in my head, the thoughts.
Okay, so here is a EQ curve here that is created. We can take this handle here, we can make this curve even bigger. What I'm going to do from here is I'm going to EQ this further. So first thing I'm going to do, you can go to this plus down here to add some EQ points, or you can just double click. We're going to add an EQ point. We're going to add a couple EQ points, and actually just adding the, hold on here, let's bring that back to where it had it. Let me just double click. But we're going to create some EQ points here, and I'm going to do some EQing here. We're going to start with a high pass filter. I'm going to set it about 80. And here's some low mids I want to pull out as well.
The thoughts that have been in my head, in my head, in my head, the thoughts that have been in my head.
All right, and then we're going to add some high end as well.
The thoughts that have been in my head, in my head, in my head, the thoughts that have been in my head.
All right, and I only have this on one track right now, but if you can put Smart EQ3 on multiple tracks and group them, and you can run this AI algorithm across multiple tracks at the same time, which is really cool. Let's do a quick before and after here. So this is with Smart EQ.
The thoughts that have been in my head,
And without.
the thoughts that have been in my head, in my head.
All right, I'm going to bring up those low mids just a little bit. I feel like I cut a little bit too much. But let's move on here to the Smart Compressor. Same concept here. I'm going to play it. We're going to run this on universal, and then we'll tweak some settings from there.
The thoughts that have been in my head, in my head, in my head, the thoughts that have been in my head, in my head.
All right, see, we're getting about 3 to 4 dB of compression here. I'm going to kick this ratio up to 3.1. And this attack, I'm going to slow down a little bit. Let me bring it down to about 20. Release, we'll leave the auto release here. And let's see what we got here.
The thoughts that have been in my head, in my head, in my head. The thoughts that have been in.
All right, I'm good with that. I'm going to use this color here, which we can make this darker or brighter. I'm going to make it a little bit brighter with that. And we also have a spectral control compression as well. I won't get all into that, but again, I've got a review that I'll have linked in the description of the video if you want to see each review for each of these plugins where I go more in depth with it.
The thoughts that have been in my head, in my head, in my head. The thoughts that have been in.
All right, so I'm good with that. Let's move on to the smart reverb. So again, same concept. I'm going to play it. We're going to run this on universal, and then I'll tweak some settings.
The thoughts that have been in my head, in my head, in my head. The thoughts that have been in my head.
All right, so with the smart reverb here, we've got this grid where we can go between intimate and rich as well as natural and artificial. So I'm going to move this around and find some place that I like for this reverb.
The thoughts that have been in my head, in my head, in my head. The thoughts that have been in my head, in my head, in my head.
All right, so I think I like that more towards the rich the most. Also below here we have options for the decay, spread, as well as density. All right, let's move on to the smart limit. And out of all of the smart bundles, this is one of my favorites. This is one that I use every time I'm editing my podcast, the Faders Up podcast. I've got it in with a chain on my master bus for podcast editing, but finishing up with this. So with this smart limiter, again, same concept. We'll run this in just a second, but you can choose your for streaming. We've got Amazon, Apple, what else? Deezer, iTunes, Pandora. So you can select your, what streaming service you're looking to target, and it will help you hit that with your LUFS and your overall level and everything. All right, let's run the smart limit.
The thoughts that have been in my head, in my head, in my head. The thoughts that have been in my head, in my head, in my head.
All right, so with the smart limit here, so we've got our gain reduction on the far right. With these crosshairs here, you want to keep this here in the middle with your loudness. This is going to let you know that you're hitting your loudness. And with the quality check you can select here is this will let you know if you need to add more gain or if you need to back off some. So let's hit the quality check and see what we've got here.
The thoughts that have been.
All right, so it's telling me my input gain looks good, peak level looks good, so really good to go here. I'm going to turn up this saturation some as well and let you hear what that can do to the signal.
The thoughts that have been in my head, in my head, in my head. The thoughts that have been in my head, in my head, in my head.
All right, so there's a look at the smart plugins from Sonible. Again, I will have a link to this whole bundle in the description of this video, as well as my reviews to each of these plugins. And I also have a link to the individual plugins, the ones that are $79 right now, the EQ3, the Smart EQ, Smart Reverb, as well as Smart Limit. So if you're using any of these Sonible plugins, definitely comment and let me know. I'd like to hear how you're using it. And if you enjoyed this video, I appreciate a thumbs up. And if you want to continue to see content from me, then you know what to do. Any questions, comments, let me know, and I'll catch y'all next time.